The sleek Earth fighter jet sliced through the night sky, its pilot scanning the starry expanse with practiced ease. Captain Aria Reeves had flown countless missions, but nothing could have prepared her for what awaited her on this routine patrol. A blinding flash erupted on the horizon, followed by a streaking fireball plummeting towards the ground. Aria's heart raced as she radioed back to base. "Control, this is Skyhawk 1. I've got an unidentified object entering atmosphere at high velocity, requesting permission to investigate. Permission granted, Skyhawk 1. Proceed with caution." Aria banked her jet towards the crash site, adrenaline surging through her veins. As she neared the impact zone, she gasped at the sight below. The smoldering wreckage of an alien craft lay scattered across a remote field, unlike anything she had ever seen. With no time to wait for backup, Aria set her jet down nearby and approached the crash site. The acrid smell of burning metal filled the air as she made her way through the debris field. Suddenly, a pained groan caught her attention. There, trapped beneath a twisted sheet of metal, lay a figure that was unmistakably alien. Its skin was a pale lavender, with delicate, almost translucent scales. Large, almond-shaped eyes blinked up at Aria in confusion and fear. Aria's training kicked in as she assessed the alien's injuries. "Don't move," she said softly, hoping her tone would convey her intentions if not her words. "I'm here to help." The alien's eyes widened further, a look of disgust crossing its features. It spoke, the words unintelligible, but the disdain clear. Aria ignored the hostility, focusing instead on freeing the creature from the wreckage. As she worked, Aria activated the universal translator in her flight suit. It would take time to calibrate to the alien language, but it was their best hope for communication. Finally, she managed to lift the debris enough for the alien to crawl free. Aria realized, immediately tried to scramble away, but collapsed with a cry of pain. Aria rushed to her side, medical kit in hand. "Please, let me help you," Aria pleaded, holding up her hands in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. The alien glared at her, words finally coming through the translator in broken fragments. "Primitive, unworthy, stay away." Aria's jaw clenched, but she pushed aside her irritation. The alien was injured and afraid in a strange world. Her behavior was understandable, if frustrating. "My name is Aria," she said slowly and clearly. "I'm a pilot, and I'm trained in emergency medicine. You're hurt. Will you let me treat your wounds?" The alien stared at her for a long moment before finally giving a curt nod. Aria got to work cleaning and bandaging the worst of the cuts and abrasions. As she did, she kept talking in a soothing voice. "What's your name? Where are you from?" At first, the alien remained silent, but as Aria continued to work gently and efficiently, she seemed to relax slightly. "Nyx," she finally said. "I am Nyx of the Celestial Concordat." Aria smiled encouragingly. "It's nice to meet you, Nyx. Welcome to Earth." Nyx snorted derisively. "Earth? A primitive backwater populated by barely evolved primates. And now I am stranded here." Aria bit back a sharp retort. Antagonizing the alien wouldn't help matters. Instead, she'd focused on finishing her treatment. "Well, this primitive primate just patched you up," she said lightly. "How about we get you somewhere more comfortable so you can recover properly?" Before Nyx could respond, the sound of approaching vehicles filled the air. Aria tensed, uncertain how this first contact situation would play out with the arrival of the military. Nyx tried to stand, panic clear in her eyes, but her injuries were too severe. She swayed dangerously, and Aria caught her before she'd fall. "It's all right," Aria soothed. "They're here to help. I won't let anything happen to you." As floodlights illuminated the crash site, Aria found herself standing protectively in front of the injured alien. She had dreamed of first contact since she was a child, but never imagined it would happen like this. A familiar figure emerged from one of the vehicles, General Wrecker, Aria's commanding officer. His weathered face was grim as he took in the scene. "At ease, Captain," he said, his eyes fixed on Nyx. "I take it our visitor isn't in a particularly friendly mood." Aria shook her head. "She's injured and scared, sir. Her name is Nyx, and she's from something called the Celestial Concordat. I've done what I can to treat her wounds, but she needs proper medical attention." The general nodded thoughtfully. "And how do you suggest we proceed, Captain? This is a delicate situation." Aria took a deep breath, knowing her next words could shape the course of human history. "Sir, I recommend we offer Nyx full medical treatment and sanctuary while she recovers. We need to show her, and by extension, her people, that humanity is capable of compassion and advanced care." She glanced back at Nyx, who was watching the exchange with wary eyes. "It's our best chance at establishing peaceful relations and proving we're more than the primitive primates she thinks we are." General Riker was silent for a long moment before nodding decisively. "Make it happen, Captain. You'll be personally responsible for our guests' safety and comfort. The fate of our world may rest on how we handle this situation." As medics approached with a stretcher, Aria turned back to Nyx. The alien's expression was a mix of fear, disdain, and grudging curiosity. "It's going to be all right," Aria said softly. "I'll be with you every step of the way." As they loaded Nyx into a waiting transport, Aria couldn't shake the feeling that her life and the future of humanity had irrevocably changed. The stars suddenly felt much closer and much more dangerous than ever before. In the weeks that followed, Aria found herself constantly challenged by her role as Nyx's caretaker and Earth's impromptu ambassador. The alien's recovery was swift, thanks to a combination of advanced human medical techniques and her own species' remarkable healing abilities. However, bridging the cultural divide proved far more difficult than mending physical wounds. Nyx's quarters in the secure medical facility had been carefully designed to accommodate her alien physiology while providing a comfortable environment. Yet she regarded everything with thinly veiled contempt. "Your technology is quaint," Nyx remarked one morning as Aria brought her breakfast. "I suppose it's impressive for such a young species, but it's hardly more advanced than children's toys in the Concordat." Aria took a deep breath, reminding herself of the importance of patience. "I'm sure there's a lot we could learn from your people, Nyx, but I think you might be surprised by some of our capabilities if you gave them a chance." Nyx merely sniffed and turned her attention to the meal before her. Her initial disgust at Earth cuisine had faded to reluctant acceptance, though she still complained about the primitive nature of solid food. As the days passed, Aria worked tirelessly to help Nyx understand human culture and customs. She brought books, movies, and music, hoping to spark some interest or connection. Most were met with dismissal, but occasionally, Aria caught a glimmer of curiosity in Nyx's large, iridescent eyes. One evening, as they watched a documentary about Earth's space program, Nyx broke her usual silence. "Your people are persistent, I'll grant you that. Reaching your moon with such rudimentary technology, it's almost admirable." Aria smiled, sensing an opportunity. "We're dreamers and explorers at heart, Nyx. Humanity has always looked to the stars and wondered what's out there. Meeting you, learning about the Concordat, it's the fulfillment of a dream for many of us." Nyx turned to her, a hint of surprise in her expression. "You truly wish to explore the galaxy, even knowing the dangers and advanced civilizations that await." "Especially because of that," Aria replied earnestly. "We want to learn to grow, to become part of something greater than ourselves." For a moment, Nyx seemed to consider this, but then her usual mask of disdain slipped back into place. "Noble sentiments, but ultimately futile. Your species is simply too far behind to catch up in any meaningful time frame." Before Aria could respond, an alarm blared through the facility. She jumped to her feet, immediately on alert. "Stay here," she instructed Nyx firmly. "I'll find out what's happening." In the hallway, Aria found barely controlled chaos. Staff members rushed about, their faces tight with worry. She grabbed a passing security officer. "What's going on?" "There's been an incident," he replied grimly. A group of protesters broke through the perimeter. They're demanding we turn over the alien menace before it can threaten humanity. Aria's heart sank. News of Nyx's presence on Earth had leaked despite their best efforts at secrecy, and not everyone was happy about it. Fringe groups had been spreading fear and misinformation, painting the alien visitor as a harbinger of invasion or corruption. She raced back to Nyx's room, finding the aliens standing tensely by the window. Outside, they could hear the angry shouts of the mob. "What's happening?" Nyx demanded, a tremor of fear in her voice. Aria quickly explained the situation, watching as Nyx's expression shifted from confusion to anger to something that looked almost like hurt. "I should have known," Nyx spat bitterly. "You humans are all the same, ruled by fear and ignorance. I was a fool to think." She cut herself off abruptly. "To think what?" Aria pressed gently. Nyx turned away, her shoulders slumping slightly. "It doesn't matter. I see now that I was mistaken about your people's potential. You're no better than animals, lashing out at anything you don't understand." Aria felt a surge of frustration, but also determination. "You're wrong, Nyx. Those people out there, they're a minority. Most of humanity is curious, hopeful about what your presence here could mean. We're not perfect, but we're trying to be better." She stepped closer, her voice softening. "I know you've seen the worst of us since you arrived, but please, give us a chance to show you the best of humanity too." Before Nyx could respond, General Riker burst into the room, his face grave. "Captain, we need to move our guest to a more secure location immediately. The situation outside is escalating." As they hurried through the corridors, Aria's mind raced. She had been making progress with Nyx, slowly breaking down the aliens' walls. Now this incident threatened to undo everything. They reached a reinforced safe room just as the sound of breaking glass echoed from somewhere in the facility. Aria's hand instinctively went to the weapon at her hip, torn between her duty to protect Nyx and her desire to help her fellow humans. Nyx noticed the gesture, her eyes widening slightly. "You would fight your own kind to protect me." Aria met her gaze steadily. "Of course, it's the right thing to do." For the first time since they'd met, Nyx looked at Aria with something other than disdain. It wasn't quite respect, but it was a start. As they settled in to wait out the crisis, Aria knew that the real challenge was just beginning. Bridging the gap between human and alien was going to take more than words. It would require action, compassion, and unwavering commitment to a shared future among the stars. The facility trembled, dust raining from the ceiling as another explosion rocked the compound. Aria and Nyx exchanged worried glances, their recent tensions momentarily forgotten in the face of a greater threat. "Those are not your protesters," Nyx said, her voice tight with fear and a hint of guilt. "I recognize those energy signatures. It's the Void Hunters." Aria's brow furrowed. "Void Hunters? Who are they?" Nyx's lavender skin paled slightly. "A ruthless group of mercenaries and pirates. They prey on developing worlds, stealing resources and technology. I think they followed me here." Before Aria could process this revelation, the door to their safe room burst open. General Riker rushed in, his uniform disheveled and a grim expression on his face. "We're under attack," he announced unnecessarily. "Multiple ships have entered Earth's atmosphere. They're targeting major cities and military installations worldwide." Aria felt a chill run down her spine. This was humanity's worst nightmare, an alien invasion they were woefully unprepared for. She turned to Nyx, hoping the alien might have some insight that could help them. To her surprise, Nyx looked equally shaken. "This is my fault," she whispered. "I led them here. I never thought. I didn't believe your world would be worth their effort." Aria placed a comforting hand on Nyx's shoulder, pushing aside her own fear and anger. "We can assign blame later. Right now, we need to focus on stopping these Void Hunters. What can you tell us about them?" Any weaknesses we can exploit. Nyx hesitated for a moment, then seemed to come to a decision. Their technology is far beyond yours, but they have one significant vulnerability. The Void Hunters rely heavily on a central command ship to coordinate their attacks. If we could somehow disable or destroy it. General Riker nodded grimly. It's not much, but it's a start. Captain Rees, I need you to gather a team. We're going to launch a counteroffensive. As Aria saluted and turned to leave, Nyx spoke up. Wait, I want to help. This is my responsibility, and I have knowledge that could be useful. Aria and the General exchanged surprised looks. It was a risk, trusting their alien guest in the midst of an invasion, but they needed every advantage they could get. All right, Aria said finally. But you stay close to me at all times. Understood. Nyx nodded solemnly, a new respect evident in her eyes. The next few hours were a blur of activity as Aria assembled a diverse team of Earth's best pilots and tacticians. Nyx provided invaluable information about Void Hunter ship designs and battle strategies, while human engineers worked feverishly to adapt their own technology to combat the alien threat. As they prepared to launch their desperate mission, Aria found a moment alone with Nyx. The alien was staring out a window at the chaos unfolding in the sky above, her expression unreadable. Having second thoughts, Aria asked gently. Nyx turned to her, conflict clear in her large eyes. I don't understand. Why are you trusting me? After everything I've said about your species, how I've treated you. Aria smiled softly. Because that's what humans do. We believe in second chances, in the power of redemption. And right now, we need to stand together if we're going to survive this. Nyx was quiet for a long moment before speaking again, her voice barely above a whisper. I may have been wrong about your people, Aria. I hope I had the chance to learn just how wrong I was. As they made their way to the hangar where Earth's hastily modified fighters waited, Aria felt a glimmer of hope. If a cynical alien could begin to see the best in humanity, perhaps they stood a chance against the Void Hunters after all. The Galactic fleet of Earth vessels, with Nyx's ship integrated into their formation, launched into the war-torn skies. Aria led the charge, her heart pounding as they climbed higher, breaking through the atmosphere into the star-studded blackness of space. Before them loomed the massive Void Hunter command ship, a behemoth of gleaming metal and pulsing energy fields. Swarms of smaller craft darted about, engaging Earth's defensive forces in a deadly dance. Remember the plan, Aria's voice crackled over the comm. We need to get Nyx close enough to transmit the override codes. Cover her at all costs. As they approached the command ship, chaos erupted around them. Energy beams lanced through space, explosions blossomed in silent bursts of light and debris. Aria's fingers flew over her controls, years of training kicking in as she wove through the battlefield. A Void Hunter ship appeared in her sights, and she didn't hesitate. Her weapons found their mark, the enemy craft spiraling away in a trail of flame. For a moment, Aria felt a surge of fierce pride. Humanity might be outgunned, but they weren't going down without a fight. Aria. Nyx's panicked voice cut through the din of battle. 3 bovies on my 6. I can't shake them. Without thinking, Aria banked hard, racing to Nyx's aid. She saw the alien's ship, sleek and nimble, desperately trying to evade its pursuers. I've got you, Aria assured her, lining up her shot carefully. 2 quick bursts, and the threat was neutralized. Thank you, Nyx breathed, genuine gratitude in her voice. As they neared the command ship, its massive energy weapons began to power up. Aria's heart sank as she realized they might not make it in time. But then something unexpected happened. A barrage of missiles streaked past them, impacting the command ship's shields with devastating force. Aria's comm crackled to life, and a familiar voice filled her cockpit. Thought you could use a hand, Captain, General Riker said, a hint of amusement in his gruff tone. The cavalry has arrived. Arya grinned as she saw the rest of Earth's forces joining the fray, buying them the precious seconds they needed. Nyx, now's our chance. Go. As Nyx's ship darted towards the command vessel, Arya and her team formed a protective barrier around her. The next few moments were tense, filled with furious combat as they fought to keep the Void Hunters at bay. Finally, Nyx's triumphant voice rang out. It's done. The override codes are transmitted. Their systems should be shutting down, now. As if on cue, the massive command ship's lights flickered and died. Its weapons fell silent, and the smaller craft around it suddenly seemed disorganized and confused. A cheer went up across the human fleet as they pressed their advantage. The tide of battle had turned, and for the first time since the invasion began, victory seemed possible. As Arya guided her ship back towards Earth, Nyx's voice came through once more, soft and filled with wonder. I've never seen anything like that, the alien admitted. Your people fought with such courage, such unity. I think I may have misjudged you, Arya. Misjudged all of humanity. Arya smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest that had nothing to do with the adrenaline of combat. Well, she replied lightly, I'd say you've more than made up for it today. Welcome to the team, Nyx. As they descended through the atmosphere, the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon, Arya knew that everything had changed. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and emerged stronger for it. And in Nyx, they had found not just an ally, but a bridge to a vast and wondrous galaxy awaiting them. The real adventure, Arya realized, was only just beginning. In the aftermath of the Void Hunters' attack, Earth found itself in a precarious position. While the immediate threat had been neutralized, the planet's defenses were in shambles, and the possibility of further alien incursions loomed large. It was in this tense atmosphere that Arya found herself summoned to a high-level strategic meeting. The war room was crowded with military brass, political leaders, and scientific experts from around the world. At the center of it all stood General Riker, his face etched with worry lines as he surveyed a holographic display of Earth's solar system. We've received intelligence, Riker began gravely, that a larger Void Hunter fleet is massing just beyond the orbit of Jupiter. Our victory seems to have only angered them. A ripple of concern passed through the assembled crowd. Arya felt Nyx tense beside her, the alien's newfound respect for humanity warring with her knowledge of the Void Hunter's superior technology. With all due respect, sir, Arya spoke up, her mind racing. We can't hope to win a direct confrontation. We need to think outside the box. Riker nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. That's why you're here, Captain. You've shown a knack for unconventional tactics. What do you propose? Arya took a deep breath, aware that all eyes were on her. We use what they don't expect, our planet itself. She stepped forward, manipulating the holographic display to zoom in on Earth. The Void Hunters rely on advanced energy weapons and shields. But what if we could turn our own magnetic field into a weapon? The room erupted in murmurs of confusion and skepticism. Arya pressed on, her confidence growing. We have a network of satellites and ground-based stations. If we could reconfigure them to amplify and direct our planet's magnetic field, we might be able to create a pulse strong enough to disrupt their systems. One of the scientists, a bespectacled woman with wild hair, leaned forward excitedly. It's possible. We'd need to boost the output significantly, but the theory is sound. It's insane, another official objected. The power requirements alone would be staggering. Nyx, who had been listening intently, suddenly spoke up. What if you use the moon? All eyes turned to the alien, who seemed momentarily flustered by the attention before continuing. Your satellite, the moon, it already affects your planet's tides and magnetic field. If you could somehow harness that energy. The wild-haired scientist's eyes lit up. Yes, we could use the moon as a focusing lens, amplifying the pulse exponentially. As the room buzzed with excited discussion, Arya felt a surge of pride. This was humanity at its best, creative, adaptable, and unafraid to embrace wild ideas in the face of overwhelming odds. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock to modify Earth's satellite network and create the massive generators needed to produce the magnetic pulse. Aria found herself coordinating with teams around the globe, her pilots' training proving invaluable as they prepared to precisely position the moon. Through it all, Nyx remained by her side, offering insights into Void Hunter technology and marveling at the speed with which humans moved when united by a common purpose. "I've never seen anything like this," Nyx admitted one evening as they watched a test firing of one of the new generators. In the Concordat, a project of this scale would take years of planning and deliberation. Aria smiled, a hint of mischief in her eyes. "Well, we're pretty good at thinking on our feet. Comes from evolving on a planet that's constantly trying to kill us." Nyx chuckled, the sound still somewhat foreign but growing more natural each day. "I'm beginning to see that. Perhaps there's something to be said for your primitive approach after all." As the day of the Void Hunter's expected arrival drew near, tension mounted. The plan was risky. If it failed, Earth would be left virtually defenseless. But it was their best hope for survival. Aria found herself in command of a small fleet of ships positioned on the far side of the moon. Their job was crucial. They needed to fine-tune the moon's position at the last moment to ensure the magnetic pulse hit its mark. As the massive Void Hunter fleet appeared on their long-range sensors, Aria took a deep breath. "This is it, people. Let's show them what humanity is made of." The next few hours were a blur of precise maneuvers and heart-stopping moments as they nudged the moon into position. Nyx's ship danced alongside Aria's, the two of them working in perfect sync. Finally, the moment of truth arrived. The Void Hunter fleet entered range, their weapons charging for what they surely thought would be a swift and decisive victory. "Now," Aria shouted, her voice carrying across all channels. A blinding flash erupted from the Earth, the magnetic pulse racing across space. It struck the moon and refracted, amplified 1,000-fold. The beam lanced out, enveloping the Void Hunter fleet in a shimmering wave of energy. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the alien ships began to drift. Their lights flickered and died, weapons falling silent as their systems overloaded. A cheer went up across the human fleet as they realized their desperate gambit had worked. The Void Hunters, their mighty technology rendered useless, began to retreat in disarray. As Aria guided her ship back towards Earth, she felt a profound sense of awe. Humanity had faced an overwhelming threat and emerged victorious through sheer ingenuity and determination. Nyx's voice crackled over the comm, filled with wonder and newfound respect. "I've never seen anything like that in all my travels. Your people are remarkable, Aria." Aria smiled, her heart swelling with pride and hope for the future. "We're just getting started, Nyx. Just wait until you see what else we can do." As they descended through the atmosphere, the cheers of a celebrating planet rising to meet them, Aria knew that everything had changed. Humanity had proven itself on the galactic stage, and the stars suddenly seemed a lot closer than before. In the weeks following Earth's victory over the Void Hunters, a palpable sense of excitement and possibility swept across the planet. Humanity had faced its first major extraterrestrial threat and emerged triumphant, not through overwhelming force, but through creativity and collaboration. The world was forever changed, and at the center of this transformation stood Aria and Nyx. As Earth's impromptu ambassador to the stars, Aria found herself thrust into a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings and public appearances. Nyx remained by her side, her initial disdain for humanity having evolved into genuine curiosity and growing admiration. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of a high-rise building overlooking a sprawling city, Nyx turned to Aria with an uncharacteristically hesitant expression. "Aria," she began, her voice soft, "I owe you and your people an apology. When I first arrived here, I thought I knew everything about Earth and its inhabitants. I was arrogant, dismissive, and completely wrong. Arya smiled, placing a gentle hand on Nick's shoulder. You weren't entirely wrong, she admitted. We have our flaws, our moments of fear and ignorance, but I like to think our potential outweighs our shortcomings. Nyx nodded, her large eyes reflecting the city lights. Your potential is staggering. The way you united in the face of the Void Hunters, how quickly you adapted and overcame seemingly insurmountable odds. It's unlike anything I've seen in my travels across the galaxy. A comfortable silence fell between them as they gazed out at the bustling metropolis below. Finally, Nyx spoke again, her voice filled with determination. I want to help bridge the gap between Earth and the celestial Concordat, she declared. Your people have earned a place among the stars, and I believe an alliance between our civilizations could benefit us both. Arya's heart soared at the prospect. This was the opportunity humanity had been waiting for, a chance to join the galactic community on equal footing. However, their plans for alliance were soon put to the test. Word reached Earth that a delegation from the celestial Concordat was en route, led by none other than High Counselor Zephyr, one of the most influential figures in Nyx's home civilization. As Arya and Nyx prepared for the delegation's arrival, tensions ran high. Despite their recent victory, many on Earth still harbored fears about further alien contact, and Nyx worried that her own people might not share her newfound appreciation for humanity. The day of the delegation's arrival dawned clear and bright. A specially constructed landing pad outside the United Nations headquarters in New York City served as the meeting ground. Arya stood at attention in her dress uniform, Nyx by her side in elegant Concordat robes. As the sleek alien ship descended from the sky, its iridescent hull shimmering in the sunlight, Arya felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. This moment would shape the future of human-alien relations for generations to come. The ship's ramp lowered, and out stepped High Counselor Zephyr, flanked by an entourage of Concordat officials. Zephyr was tall and regal, with shimmering scales in deep shades of blue and green. Their eyes, multifaceted like a dragonfly's, took in the scene with an air of aloof curiosity. Nyx stepped forward, bowing deeply. High Counselor, welcome to Earth. May I present Captain Arya Reeves, representative of the human race. Zephyr's gaze fell on Arya, who fought the urge to fidget under the alien leader's scrutiny. So, Zephyr's voice resonated, seeming to come from everywhere at once. This is the primitive world that managed to defeat the Void Hunters. Curious. Arya bristled slightly at the word primitive, but maintained her composure. On behalf of Earth, I welcome you, High Counselor. We look forward to fostering a relationship of mutual understanding and cooperation between our peoples. Zephyr made a sound that might have been a chuckle. Bold words from such a young species. Tell me, Captain, what exactly do you think you can offer the celestial Concordat? Before Arya could respond, Nyx interjected, her voice firm. High Counselor, if I may, Earth has much to offer. Their adaptability, their ingenuity, their unorthodox approach to problem-solving. These are qualities that could greatly benefit the Concordat. Zephyr's multifaceted eyes narrowed. You speak highly of these humans, Nyx. One might think you've gone native during your time here. I've learned, High Counselor, Nyx replied, standing tall. I've seen firsthand what humans are capable of when united by a common purpose. They may be young, but their potential is limitless. As Zephyr considered this, a commotion erupted at the edge of the gathering. A group of anti-alien protesters had broken through the security cordon, their angry shouts filling the air. Arya tensed, ready to call for additional security, but what happened next took everyone by surprise. Nyx stepped forward, placing herself between the protesters and the Concordat delegation. Please, she called out, her voice carrying across the plaza, I understand your fear. Not long ago, I shared it, but I've come to see that our differences are not a threat, but an opportunity. Humanity has so much to offer the galaxy, and so much to gain in return. Give yourselves, a chance. Her impassioned words seemed to give the protesters pause. In that moment of hesitation, Aria saw an opportunity. She stepped up beside Nyx, addressing both the humans and the aliens. "This is who we are," she declared. "We argue, we struggle, we face our fears head-on, but we also listen, learn, and grow. High Counselor Zephyr, this is the strength of humanity, our diversity, our passion, and our endless capacity for change." To everyone's surprise, Zephyr began to laugh. It was a strange, melodious sound that seemed to ripple through the air. "Well played, Captain Reeves. Perhaps there is more to your species than meets the eye." As the tension dissipated, Aria felt a surge of hope. This was just the beginning of a long and complex process of building trust and understanding between their civilizations. But in that moment, as she stood shoulder to shoulder with Nyx, facing a future filled with both challenges and infinite possibilities, Aria knew that humanity was ready for whatever the universe had in store. The unexpected alliance between Earth and the Celestial Concordat was taking its first tentative steps, and the stars had never seemed brighter. The months following the historic meeting between Earth and the Celestial Concordat were a whirlwind of activity. As humanity's representative, Aria found herself traveling across the galaxy, visiting worlds she had only dreamed of as a child. Nyx remained her constant companion, serving as a bridge between the two civilizations and a living example of how perspectives could change. On a distant world of crystalline forests and purple skies, Aria stood before the Galactic Council, making Earth's case for full membership. The chamber was filled with representatives from hundreds of alien species, each more fantastical than the last. "Esteemed members of the Council," Aria began, her voice steady despite her nerves, "I stand before you not just as a representative of Earth, but as a symbol of what can be achieved when different species work together." She gestured to Nyx, who stood proudly at her side. "My friend Nyx once saw humans as primitive and unworthy. Now she is one of our strongest advocates. This is the power of understanding, of looking beyond our differences to find common ground." As Aria spoke, she could see the council members listening intently, their alien features impossible to read. She pressed on, her passion evident in every word. "Humanity may be young, but we have much to offer. Our adaptability, our creativity, our unwavering spirit in the face of adversity. These are qualities that can benefit the entire galactic community." She recounted Earth's victory over the Void Hunters, emphasizing not the military aspect, but the ingenuity and cooperation that made it possible. "We turned our very planet into a weapon, not through advanced technology, but through thinking beyond conventional boundaries." As Aria's speech concluded, a murmur rippled through the chamber. The head of the council, a being of pure energy contained within a shimmering orb, floated forward. "You speak well, Representative Reeves." The council head's thoughts resonated in Aria's mind. "But words are easy. Actions are what truly matter." Before Aria could respond, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Holographic displays flickered to life, showing a massive fleet approaching the council world. "The Void Hunters," Nyx gasped, her eyes wide with fear. "They must have rebuilt their forces. This is a full-scale invasion." Chaos erupted in the council chamber as representatives panicked and argued about the best course of action. Aria exchanged a determined look with Nyx, both of them knowing what needed to be done. "Esteemed council," Aria's voice cut through the din, "let us prove through action what I've just spoken of in words. Earth stands ready to help defend this world and the principles of galactic cooperation." The council head's energy form pulsed with what might have been surprise. "You would risk your lives for a civilization that has not yet accepted you." Aria nodded firmly. "That's who we are. That's what humanity stands for." What followed was a battle unlike anything Aria had ever experienced. Earth's small contingent of ships, led by Aria and Nyx, joined forces with the Council's defense fleet. The void of space lit up with energy weapons and explosions as they engaged the Void Hunters. Aria's voice crackled over the comm system, coordinating the disparate alien forces. Nix, take your squadron and flank their left side. Zephyrs ships can provide cover fire. As the battle raged, Aria saw something remarkable happening. The various alien species, many of whom had been distrustful or outright hostile towards each other, were working together seamlessly. Humanity's example of adaptability and cooperation was spreading. In a daring maneuver, Aria led a small team directly into the heart of the Void Hunter fleet. Using tactics that blended human unpredictability with alien technology, they managed to disable the enemy's command ship. As the Void Hunters retreated in disarray, a cheer went up across the combined fleet. Aria's ship, battered but triumphant, limped back to the Council world. In the aftermath of the battle, Aria once again stood before the Galactic Council. This time, however, the atmosphere was markedly different. Gone was the skepticism and condescension. In its place was a newfound respect. The Council head's energy form glowed brightly as it addressed the chamber. Today, we have witnessed the true spirit of galactic cooperation, and at its heart stood the representatives of Earth, a young species that has proven its worth beyond any doubt. A wave of agreement passed through the assembled aliens. The Council head continued, "It is the decision of this Council that Earth be granted full membership, effective immediately." Cheers erupted throughout the chamber. Aria felt tears of joy and pride welling in her eyes as Nix wrapped her in an exuberant embrace. As the celebration continued around them, Aria turned to Nix, her voice soft with emotion. "We did it. We really did it." Nix's large eyes shimmered with something akin to tears. "No, Aria, you did it. Your people did it. You've shown the galaxy what humanity truly is, not just through your words or your technology, but through your actions and your heart." Aria looked out at the sea of alien faces, no longer strange and intimidating, but full of potential for friendship and collaboration. She thought of Earth, of the long journey that had brought them to this moment, and of the infinite possibilities that now lay before them. "This is just the beginning," Aria said, a smile spreading across her face. "We have so much to learn, so much to explore." Nix nodded, her expression mirroring Aria's excitement. "And we'll do it together, humans, Concordat, and all the species of the galaxy. United in our diversity, stronger for our differences." As they turned to join the celebration, Aria felt a profound sense of fulfillment. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged not just victorious, but transformed. They had proven themselves worthy of the stars, not through conquest or superiority, but through compassion, ingenuity, and an unwavering belief in the power of understanding. The galaxy had once seemed vast and intimidating. Now, it felt like home, and humanity, with its unique blend of adaptability, creativity, and heart, was ready to take its place among the stars. As Aria looked out at the glittering expanse of space visible through the Council chamber's massive windows, she knew that the greatest adventure of all was just beginning, and she couldn't wait to see where it would lead.